After all those hours spent pleading, begging, and spamming Activision as a community, guys, we've finally got what we wanted. As of yesterday, when the Season 7 update dropped, the HBRa3 is now in the game free to play for all of you guys that get to Pro 2. This does mean Pro 2 in the ranked multiplayer mode, and I'm sure all of you guys pretty much will be able to get it if you grind hard enough. It might seem a bit tough now, but that's because all the Legendary players have been reset to Pro 1, but once they're out of the way and back up to Legendary or Master or wherever, it'll be pretty easy. You'll just have to go through a few games, and of course, at that rank especially, you do get a lot more points for ranking up than you do for losing, so eventually you will get there. Just find yourself a squad. One thing that you guys might want to know is that in the patch notes, if you scroll at the bottom, you'll find a thing that says that apparently it was a glitch before, but if you're in a 3, 4, or 5-man team, you're supposed to be playing against other 3, 4, and 5-man teams instead of just like solo players. So if you're a solo player and you keep finding yourself going up against entire clans, that shouldn't happen anymore unless it's bugged out or something like that. The main point of this video though is just to show off the ranked gameplay with the gun so you can decide for yourself and have a look at how good it is. I do have reviews for it already, and I have talked about in a bit more detail how to get it. I'll link both of those videos down below, but as I said, how to get it is pretty simple. It's just get to Pro 2. The review is a bit more complicated since they have adjusted it. They have changed the balance of this weapon ever so slightly, but it is still pretty much the same weapon. The important stats such as time to kill and recoil are the same as far as I know, so that review, even though it's a little bit old, should have relatively up-to-date information, and I hope it is still pretty good. If a lot of people want it, I can do another review, but I didn't think it was worth it just yet. We'll see how everyone goes with this new weapon. A lot of people in the comments and Discord have asked me for ranked gameplay though. I would usually do that in the stream. I usually save it for the stream, but I haven't been able to stream in a little while, so I thought I'd bring you guys this just so you can see what's going on and watch me play a bit, and maybe call me out for being trash. I don't know, it's up to you. A lot of you guys, I've played with you and you're honestly better players than me, but I focus more now on just bringing you guys informative content so you can play as best you can. If you do like that sort of thing, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button on this video. That is the main focus on my channel, so there will be plenty of other content like that. I don't usually do just straight gameplay videos, but people have asked for that, so I've given them what they want. Again, if there's anything you want to see, definitely let me know in the comments, or you can shoot me a message on Discord as well. It's not spammy, I don't mind, and I will try to respond whenever I can. But I also thought that since the new weapon, the HBRa3, that everyone is so hyped about is coming out as well, I thought I could combine them into one video, which would be great. As for my thoughts on the gun, funnily enough, now that it's out and everyone has finished begging for it, a lot of people are calling it overhyped, and I think that is being a bit harsh. Like, maybe it's not quite as good as it was when everyone first started asking for it, since they realized that after a few other weapons like the S36 and the Type 25 got nerfed, that all of a sudden this gun was at the very top of the food chain, but only the Dragon Dance version, which you had to pay for, was available. I still think it's really good though. That 4-shot kill that it has at close range is fantastic. I know in my review I said it was more of an excellent weapon around that mid-range area, but I'm finding I really like it close up as well. Unfortunately, it does handle a little bit slower than some of the other assault rifles. When I say this, I mean that you might run around a little bit slower with it, and perhaps aim down sights a bit slow, which can be frustrating for a lot of people, especially if you're coming from an SMG. As a person who's been mainly running with a CODM recently from my sweaty games, it does feel slightly on the slower end, but that is to be expected of an assault rifle, and when it kills as fast, it honestly is okay to me. You can of course put the iron sights on to speed up the aim down sight time, but I don't really recommend that, since because assault rifles you need to use them out to range as well, and the iron sights are a little bit cluttered. I do think you'll get much better results with the red dot sight, and from all the HBRs I've kind of picked up off the ground, because sometimes I just want to see what the community thinks of the gun and what they think that they should be running, and of course there's been so many people running this weapon. Pretty much every single game I see there's at least 3 per team, and most people seem to agree that the red dot sight is the best. But for the rest of the loadout, the quick draw is always an attachment I recommend. If you guys have been watching my channel at all, you know I pretty much put that on every single gun, and if you're kind of tired of hearing that, I'm sorry, but I guess this is still the way to go. Unless they give it a big nerf or something, I'll be recommending that till forever. Next up, I've got foregrip, because you need to control the recoil for this weapon to use it at all the ranges that you want to be getting out of it. It's a very versatile gun, so if you want to get that long range performance really good, it will help a lot. And even if you think you're the master of recoil control, horizontal recoil is a bit random, and you can't really control it super consistently even if you practice a lot, so the grip will help with that. Finally, for the last attachment, I've got extended mag. This gun fires at 697 rounds a minute, which is considered a high rate of fire weapon for this game, so just to keep you spraying longer and to be a bit more forgiving, especially because it's a mobile game and you will miss a bit of shots, or a few shots I should say, the extended mag is a fantastic attachment just so you can keep going in those fights. As for some of my thoughts on the rest of the season, firstly, this is like kind of random and hasn't been talked about that much, but I really like the new kill sound they've added. It was in Modern Warfare and I find it super satisfying. Getting those kills is just that little bit sweeter now, so I'm glad they did that even though people hadn't really been asking for it. I've tried their new Tunisia map a little bit, or however you're supposed to say it, please correct me if I'm wrong. I find it a little bit cluttered, but overall pretty fun, but I'll play a bit more before I really decide what I think of it. What I'm very curious to know is what you guys think of the new gravity spikes. I still think that they're a pretty good score streak, but the main weakness now is not the recharge time. The recharge time has been nerfed, of course, which is really needed. You couldn't be having a specialist skill every 3 kills. That's just ridiculous and should not be in the game, but you're in the air for a lot longer now and it almost feels like it's in slow motion, especially compared to what it was before, so I'm very curious to find out whether you guys still think it's a worthwhile score streak to be running. Not score streak, operator skill I mean. And also the Shock RC has finally been nerfed, so thankfully now it shouldn't just be like you have to run cold-blooded on every single class because there's just Shock RCs everywhere. So now it does cost a few more points to get instead of just being 250, 350 or whatever it was before, where you're pretty much 1 kill and like an objective and you've got it. Now it does take more than UAV. I do believe it's 450 and you can get out of it much faster as well, so you're not stuck there for 20 minutes pressing the fire and aim down side button to get away from the Shock RC. I'm really glad with these balance changes though. I haven't had too much of a look at the weapon ones yet. I have talked about that very briefly in the previous update. The Man of War was getting a buff, which I'm quite happy with. I've been calling for that for a while. Other than that though, I guess that's really all from me today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed just kind of hearing me talk today, it wasn't so super analytical, it wasn't as in-depth, but I enjoy making this one, so be sure to hit the like and subscribe button on this video, but I'll be back with more and I'll see you all in the next one.
Capturing Bravo. Enemy Shock RC is coming. Flashbang! Capturing Bravo. We're capturing Alpha. UAV online. Losing C. We captured Alpha. We lost B. Enemy inside!